Hi there, my name is James. Today's topic is what is democracy? So I found that many people have tried to define democracy. And I found an Austrian philosopher, Karl Popper, defined modern democracy best. He said that democracy is the contradiction of aristocracy and tyranny. And he also says that democracy aims for the opportunity of normal people to control, elect, and oust their leaders. But that was the definition of modern democracy. We need to look into the past to see how the origin of democracy, what it really means. The theory of democracy comes from Aristotle's theory of democracy, 2,500 years ago. He gives three rationales about democracy. The first is democracy needs to be aggregative. That is, to solicit all the people's ideas together so they can discuss and come out with a social policy that this society will adopt and society will evolve during this period of time. And the second is democracy needs to be deliberative. That means the social policy the society will adopt will be examined by deliberations, who are the decision makers that are unbiased and are not unequal political powers. And the third rationale is democracy needs to be radical. Aristotle argues that there are always oppressive relations between the upper class people and the lower class people in a hierarchical society. So democracy performs as a tool for the lower class people to do what they want and say what they want, to elect leaders and to oust leaders. So these three rationales builds up the whole system of theory of democracy. But this is just the theory base. We need to take into the practical things. We need to take a look into the history to see how democracy evolved from the ancient time into today's modern democracy. Hi, it's James again. As you can see, I have drawn this timeline of history of the evolvement of democracy. The first appearance of democracy was in 509 BC in Athens, the ancient Greek city-state. The Athenian democracy was based on the idea of the constitution written by Cleisthenes, the father of democracy. It says that a random selection of citizens would be used to fill in all the administrative posts, and also a legislative assembly would be set up to deal with all the social issues so that a set of laws could be set up. And in Roman Republic, contemporary in 509 BC, Roman Republic took the form of gerrymandering, which was a similar way of electoral voting today. But these two democratic systems had their own problems. Only citizens could vote, and citizens did not mean all the people. Citizenship excludes all the women, children, slaves, and also foreigners. So, as you can see, this was not what modern democracy was looking for. After 1,000 years or more, during this period of Middle Ages, it was the Gilded Age of feudalism. It left no space, or a little space, for democracy to evolve. The only significant event was in 1215, the introduction of Magna Carta by the Parliament of England. It basically said that some of the rules, not all the rules, some of the laws would be applied to citizens equally. Yet laws at that time were set up by lords and kings. So after the Renaissance era, modern democracy started to take shape. In the modern era, the first movement of ideas was the Enlightenment. In this period of time, the theoretical base was set up by different philosophers. Freedom of speech, freedom of rights, freedom of voting, and also equality were set up. So in different countries and different continents, different revolutions broke out to represent different kind of modern democracy. In 1688, Glorious Revolution set up parliamentary democracy in England. And in 1776, American Revolution broke out. The 1787 Constitution was set up to represent the modern presidential democracy. In 1789, French Revolution broke out, and the Declaration of Rights of Men and of Citizens defined the meaning of the modern republic. So these are all three different kind of democracy in the modern way. And after a few decades, there were abolitions abolishments of slavery in different empires, like in the British Empire and in the Ottoman Empire. As you can see, slaves are now becoming more and more free, and they become freemen that can vote. So after this, we can basically see the evolvement of democracy from ancient time to a more modern way. So after World War I and World War II in the 20th and 21st century, modern democracy finally took shape. Okay, thanks for James for bringing so much details to us about the history of democracy. Now let's work out how modern democracy work in the modern society. There are basically two forms. The first form is direct democracy. Second form is representative democracy. In the first form, obviously, citizens need to use their rights to vote and elect their leaders in the Congress or the Parliament. And the direct democracy means that there may be a lottery used to fill in specific administrative posts so that citizens could be using their rights and their freedom directly in this democratic system. As you can see, that every citizen needs to be directly involved in the political life, so it may be inefficient. So only a few regions in Switzerland use this kind of democracy. Most of the Western worlds use representative democracy. That is to select representatives so that these people can represent people's will and discuss them in the Congress or the Parliament. There are two forms. The first form is parliamentary democracy, which means a parliament acts as the head of government and prime minister elected by the parliament to serve as the head of the state. So in this kind of form, parliament acts as the top executive ministry in this democracy. Prime minister is only a symbol, a kind of president, but not president because he or she is not the head of the government. And countries using this form, such as the United Kingdom, Japan, and Thailand, they often involve some constitutional monarchy. So the next form is presidential democracy. In this democratic system, a separation of powers will be held. First one is executive branch, second one is judicial branch, and third one is legislative branch. In the executive branch, there is a president acts as both the head of the government and also the head of the state. The other two branches are created to restrict the power of the president, since the president acts both as the head of the government and head of the state. And countries using this kind of democracy, such as the United States, Afghanistan, Argentina, and Brazil, these are all countries using presidential democracy. So after learning all this kind of way of using democracy to decide how society will work, we will need to see how society adopting democracy may not work out. I have listed 5 criticisms in here. As we can know that although democracy gives freedom to individuals, it may be inefficient, as I mentioned before in the direct democracy. There's a funny example comparing China and India. We can see that China is using a one-party system, yet India is using a parliamentary republic system. As we can see, China is now much more stronger than India, and a large part of it may be because of the administrative efficiency of the Chinese government. And the second is popular rule. What is meant by popular rule? It means that democracy may be the disguise of elite rule, because the elite, the most strongest people in society, are always going to be working or indirectly working for the government. So a popular rule may result in an elite rule, which restricted the freedom of all citizens. And third is mob rule. What is meant by mob rule? Some of the citizens in this country may be agitated about something that they disagree with. So they may influence others and resulting in a mob ruling of this government because since government is elected. And the fourth and fifth are very similar because they all always talk about political instability and the evilness of rigged elections. Political instability refers to that each party, because in the democratic system there needs to be multi-party system, and each party will result in another party's opposition. So the society may be changing violently in a short period of time. And in the fifth, evilness may come up and control the government, since the rigged elections may cause people to elect those evil things, evil parties such as the Nazis and the militarism in Japan in the 1930s. So after seeing all this criticism, we really need to consider whether democracy is a beneficial thing or a harmful thing. But generally, after watching this video, I think you have a general idea about what democracy is. Thank you for watching.